Hello, everybody. This case is quickly developing. Probably a lot of you already know these updates, but I needed to come and talk about them because I completely forgot to mention them in my prior video. But as you guys are already aware, that Patrick, there were some interesting bail terms that the court set in this case that I thought was kind of interesting. For example, he was set at $1 million bail, and then it went up to $2 million. But the conditions are that he's not allowed to speak to Takeoff's family, Jay Prince and his family, Shakar Stevenson, who was the boxer's family, and anyone from Shakar's place of employment. I thought that was kind of interesting, don't you think? And if you guys don't know who Shakar is, he is a boxer. And here, I'll just share his photo really quick. But he was the boxer that was standing next to Takeoff during the shooting. So I thought that was kind of interesting that the conditions was to stay away from Jay Prince family. That part is interesting, right? Because there is some allegations that he has affiliations with Jay Prince family. I wonder if Jay Prince family has decided to speak to authorities and maybe testify against him in this case. That might be a possibility. As you guys remember, Jay Prince Sr. did say, "You can't stand behind me." So it could be a possibility that the Prince family are speaking to the officers against Patrick Clark. But I thought it was pretty interesting that the conditions also included to stay away from this boxer here, Shakur, and the Jay Prince family. Interesting turn of events. I did understand, and we all could foresee that there would have been a stay away order against Takeoff's family. We all knew that. But it was interesting that they included Jay Prince family, and this boxer. So I thought that was quite interesting. I'm interested to know whether Jay Prince and their family are going to be witnesses in this case. So that would be very interesting. Some other interesting things that happened in this case too, with the hearings today, we learned some details. I was floored by these details, you guys. Details about the shooting and some of the key evidence that the officers have. For example, there was indications that there's video footage allegedly of Patrick shooting Takeoff in the back of the head. Oh my gosh. I was shocked when I heard that evidence. And of course, while he was shooting, which I thought was crazy, is that he has a bottle of wine or some alcoholic bottle in his hand as he's shooting. Who does that? Who does that? You literally have a bottle in your hand while you're shooting, and then he leaves the bottle there. So, of course, they get the fingerprints off the bottle, identifying him. So, and then another thing, guys, another turn of events. Remember we talked the other day about him getting this, the passport to go to Mexico. Well, his attorney is alleging that he was not fleeing and that he actually had a pre-planned trip to Mexico to DJ out there, and that he wasn't really fleeing and that he actually canceled his trip. Do you guys believe that? I think it's a bunch of baloney. I honestly don't believe it. I think it's a complete lie. I think he's just trying to make up some story. It's just weird, the timing of it. It also looks kind of weird too. I'm like, you got an emergency passport. That's kind of weird. I mean, that part I think is ironic, but I don't buy the attorney's argument. I think it's a hogwash. You guys let me know if you buy the lie. I don't think he's telling the truth. I think that man was trying to flee. He knew what he did. He knew what he did, because there's also evidence that after he shot and did all those shootings, and after Takeoff shot in the back of the head, there's evidence of him shooting him in the back of the head. They said he took off fleeing. And there was a video floating around before officers spoke about this case several weeks ago of a car speeding off after the shooting. So I'm thinking he was probably in that car that was captured on camera speeding off after the shooting. So there's a lot that has developed. Let's take a look at this video here. Oh gosh, so much going on.
The man accused of killing Migos rapper Takeoff in downtown Houston last month faced a judge this morning. Investigators say that Patrick Xavier Clark shot the rapper in the back of the head. KPRC2's Taisha Walker joining us live from downtown Houston with more on what happened inside the courtroom. Taisha, good morning.
Andy, good morning. Clark appeared before a judge today. This was his second appearance, his arraignment, and his appearance was very brief, lasting less than 5 minutes. We want to get to video of Clark in court this morning wearing an orange jumpsuit and handcuffs as he stood beside his attorneys as they requested a bond reduction hearing. That hearing has been scheduled for next Wednesday. His attorneys say $2 million is not reasonable or comparable to other bonds of other murder suspects. Prosecutors say Clark was seen on video pointing and firing a gun toward a group of people gathered outside of a downtown bowling alley for a private party on November 1st. They say a bullet from Clark's gun killed Kirshnick Ball, whose rap name is Takeoff. Investigators used a wine bottle with Clark's fingerprints to connect him to the crime. Investigators say when they arrested the 33-year-old, he had a passport and an itinerary for Mexico. Clark's attorneys did not deny that this morning.
That's true. However, there's other circumstances surrounding that. That was something that was already pre-planned, and it was counseled before he was arrested. So I think that's important. He wasn't trying to go anywhere.
Clark's attorneys also say the situation is tragic and happening far too often in the community, but they say their client, Clark, is innocent until proven guilty, and they hope that people do not rush to judgment. We did try to get an interview with prosecutors after court, but they were not available. Reporting live from downtown, Taisha Walker, KPRC.
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it, guys. I am not buying it. I want to see evidence, guys, that he really had this pre-planned trip and then canceled it. Why? Okay, the reason why I'm not buying it is why around this time Takeoff dies, he all of a sudden orders this expedited passport. Like, how come he didn't have a passport before? And why after Takeoff is dead, all of a sudden he needs a passport all of a sudden? All this time, all these years, he's never had a passport, and then all of a sudden, when this shooting happens, he needs to get an emergency passport. I think it's a bunch of baloney. If this is true, they need to prove it up. I want to see. They need to present to the court evidence that he has some planned event in Mexico where he was supposed to DJ, because it sounds a little bit too convenient that all of a sudden he requests this emergency passport. You mean to tell me there's no DJs in Mexico or other DJs that could have did this show? He's the only one? No, it's a lie. I don't believe it. I was not convinced by that attorney. Of course, attorneys have to litigate the case to the fullest for their client, but I don't believe her at all. I'm sorry. What do you guys think? This tragedy is getting crazier and crazier by the day, and the fact that they said they have evidence of him shooting Takeoff in the back of the head just made me so sad. This man, apparently too, when he did the shooting back in 2018, it was pretty much similar. They're saying that basically there's two different stories going on around that 2018 shooting. One argument is that he got into a fight with somebody inside the club. The person leaves to go get a firearm, starts shooting at them and shooting at him and a security guard. And then both Patrick and the security guard shoot back at the guy, and the guy dies. Then there's this other rumor going around that the man was trying to rob him, and he shot the man in self-defense. But in that case, he also was arrested and then ended up being acquitted or whatever. So I feel like this guy is going to try to make up some excuse of him being afraid for his life and all that stuff. But as you guys know, he was charged last week, and he has a bond now for $2 million, and they're going to hold a bond reduction hearing on December 14th. So that should be the next court date. I really hope they don't reduce that bond, man. And if this defense attorney has this little whack story about him. All of a sudden, right around the convenient time, he needs to request an emergency passport of all times. How come you didn't have this passport before? Why all of a sudden you have to go to DJ in Mexico? It just sounds too convenient, right around the time. So I'm not buying the story. At this reduction hearing, she's going to have to bring some proof or something, because I don't know if the judge is just going to take her word for it. We shall see. And it sounds like he did similar things in the prior shooting. If that's what it's going around in the community, guys. Let's see. They're saying Clark is feeling nervous and he's concerned because he's being charged with something that he believes he's innocent of. So how would anyone do in this type of circumstance? That's what his attorney is saying. He thinks he's innocent. There is camera footage of him doing it. There is fingerprints on the bottle that he had in his hand. How are you innocent? See, I told you he's going to try to come with this self-defense claim, y'all. I'm telling you. Here he has this thing mapped out. He did it before and got away with it. What do you think he's going to do now? It's like this dude is like literally going around getting away with murders. Although if he really did have a justified reason for the prior case, I get it. But this case, I'm interested in finding out who started shooting first, because that is going to be very interesting. Also, another key thing that we heard in that video that I thought was kind of interesting, that really, really stood out for me, and you guys can tell me what stood out for you, was that she said one bullet that hit Takeoff. Well, we know Takeoff was hit multiple times. So who else is responsible for the other bullets? This case, it feels like there's so much more. There's so much more to come that we are waiting for. There may be other suspects that are responsible for the other bullets in Takeoff, but I don't know, maybe if it was a miss that the reporter misspoke when she said that, or if she really legitimately meant what she said, that he's only responsible for one of the bullets that was in the back of Takeoff's head. So guys, I don't know. This story, this tragedy is just, So they asked if Clark knew Takeoff, and the attorney said, we really don't want to go into the facts at this point. So they're trying to be evasive with the answers right now. And they said that they said that investigators didn't know whether Clark was even invited to the party or if he knew Takeoff. Clark works as a DJ. So I wonder if he was invited to DJ the party, since it was a birthday party. Quite interesting. Let's see what else they have to say about this. The attorney just says there's a lot of investigation that needs to be done. So we just ask that everyone keep an open mind and let's just the system just do its part. Oh my God, I just hate all this, all the semantics, you guys. I just want him to be guilty already. But I already know, you know how this stuff takes. The expedited passport to me and the large amount of cash sounds very suspect, guys. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it that he wasn't trying to go anywhere and that he was canceled it. I'm not buying it. It sounds, why did he have the large amount of cash? It sounds like somebody who's trying to be gone for a long time. It doesn't sound like he's just going to DJ for a trip. Something about this doesn't sound right. What do you guys think? It sounds suspect to me. Hi, Reality Chess. How are you? You said you would ask me, you would ask me the world a lie. Exactly, Reality Chess. I'm not buying it. I know here, Elgin, that's exactly what he's going to argue. He's going to argue self-defense. He claims he's innocent. I really do. Yeah, well, sorry, I got caught off guard by AB saying, yes, you need a passport to go to Mexico. You do, but some people say they've gone into Mexico without a passport. So I don't know how they're doing that. Maybe they're not checking when you go in, but you do need it to come back. I know that much. Yeah, Elgin, he's going to argue self-defense. Definitely, guys. Definitely he's going to argue self-defense. This was not going to be a cut and dry case, guys. This guy might walk. It's really going to come down to who shot first. And then there was the issue of Miguel Bands having his hand on the gun at the time. And then there was also a part in that video where somebody swung on somebody. We don't know who swung on who. So there's a lot to unfold in this case, guys, and he's going to argue self-defense. I already know. So, and you know how Texas laws are, guys. This is going to be a very tough case that we're going to have to really follow and hope and pray that there is legal justice, because if not, you know how people move in the streets. I'm just saying. Elgin says, why would they have a bond hearing for him if he's a flight risk? Exactly, Elgin. It's a no-brainer. He of all people should get no bond. But this attorney, and he's arguing, claiming that he had some prior trip that was planned before this whole tragedy happens, and he just so happened to cancel it. I'm not buying it. I think it's a bunch of baloney. But you tell me, guys. Elgin says, do they have the weapon in question? Because they can't charge him for a murder unless they can produce the murder weapon. It's alleged that they have it. They said they did ballistics and they did forensics. So it's alleged that they have the gun. But you know what? I have no clue, Elgin, because they didn't come out and tell us explicitly. I'm just inferring from their statements that they did ballistics and forensics. Because what other way could you match up that firearm? They may not even have it, though, Elgin. You might be right. The thing is, here's what they do have. They have camera footage of him with a bottle in his hand and shooting the gun, right? They did the fingerprinting on the bottle to match it up to him. They did ballistics. So they must have had the firearm, I'm thinking, guys. But who knows? That's a good question. They didn't say whether they had the firearm. They just gave us a detail of the ballistics that they did, the forensics that they did to match it and link it up to him. So, but you may be right, Elgin. I don't even know if they have. I don't even know if they have. Does anybody in the chat know for sure if they have the weapon? I haven't heard them say explicitly. They're kind of tight-lipped on whether they have the weapon, but they did say they did ballistics. So I'm inferring from that they have the weapon. I'm inferring, but I have no clue at all. But somebody in the chat, maybe you guys know, because y'all be knowing this stuff better than me sometimes. Elgin said it would be unusual for him to have the amount of cash. He a big DJ in Houston. Exactly, guys. And if you guys are aware, when they looked at his income and where he lives and all that, he doesn't even have his own place. He's living with somebody. He doesn't even really pay rent. He's like living with either his mom or some girlfriend or something, but he doesn't have his own. He can't even afford to live on his own. So the man's not making a lot of money. I'm wondering where he got all this money from. And then if you guys watched my video yesterday, we went over his TikTok and he was talking about getting money and focused on getting money. So I'm wondering if he was trying to gather all this money up to flee. So I'm not buying this, guys. I'm really hoping that this hearing, the judge does the right thing and give him no bail at all. But we'll see. They're going to have this bail hearing and or bond hearing, and they're going to argue that he was going to DJ in Mexico. But I just find it very odd that he's bringing all this amount of cash, that he requests this emergency passport. That sounds like somebody who's trying to flee, not just going to DJ. That sounds real weird. And why would they need him of all people? I mean, I know he's a DJ, but he's not that good of a DJ. Come on now. There's all kinds of DJs that they could have had than just him. So it just sounds unbelievable to me. Oh, see, I like this one right here. See, Mon Demise. Hi, Mon Demise. Mon Demise says, we live in a world of cameras. Someone or something is always watching. Exactly. Exactly, guys. Someone's always watching, and there's witnesses too that were there also. So who knows? But Elgin has a good point, and if somebody can tell me in the chat, I listened to that hearing, and they didn't say explicitly that they had the murder weapon or the firearm. They did say that they did extensive forensics and ballistics. So that just made me believe they had it, and they had his fingerprints on the bottle. So I'd be interesting to figure out, do they have the murder weapon? Because that's a good question, Elgin. I'll be looking around and seeing, but I didn't hear him explicitly say that. Did anybody hear them at the hearing say that? I don't recall them saying that, but that's a good question to ask. But yeah, guys, these are the updates for now. I will keep you updated on this story, man. I don't know what's going to happen, guys. I'm not feeling too good, given this guy's going to come up with this self-defense theory. Will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see the footage, because we need to know exactly what went down. We only had a partial video. So keep you updated, guys. Take care. Have a wonderful night.